Wall Street derivatives trader, entrepreneur, and voluntarist, Adam Williams.
All right. I'm Adam Williams. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really exciting to be able to speak to you guys. All right. My speech is called What Brings Peace? So I'm going to talk about a lot of different topics and cover a lot of different ground, but it's all related to how we can create peace, first within ourselves and then in the world. Can anyone guess who this little guy is here? You guess? Yeah, that's me. So that's my sister and I. That's me about maybe 7 years old. Maybe my sister's 3.5. We were born in Indiana. Really, what brings love, what brings peace is love, right? Generating things in our life from love, from the perspective of loving each other, loving ourselves, is what's going to bring peace. I was very fortunate to have parents that were with us, so much and encouraged us and gave us a lot of support. I also got some status programming from my parents, as we all do, right? So grew up the child of parents that went through civil rights and grew up during segregation, and as children growing up, I think what we were indoctrinated with was that government is a force for good. Government ensures the rights for minorities and things like that, things that we know now are not correct. So does anyone recognize this building here? Anyone know this? Good guess. No, this is the World Financial Center in New York City. So we're going to start out with what doesn't bring peace. Okay, so. I was speaking with Roger Ver yesterday at breakfast, and he told me that in addition to being at the 2011 earthquake, in Japan, he was also in '89 at the big earthquake in California. No surprise, the universe has put him in these huge events. He's a seismic guy. For myself, the universe has put me in two big crises. So I was there for 9/11, and I was there as part of the financial crisis. So 9/11, I was there the day that happened. The morning I came downstairs, I guess right after the first plane crashed into the building, and came down here, went outside. We noticed a bit of commotion and some fire, trying to figure out what was going on. Do you guys remember The Wolf of Wall Street? You guys see that movie? Remember when he's there with the agents and the two women on the boat? So that's right where this location is. And it was really interesting because I was one of the few people to see it with my own eyes before we knew what was happening. You remember back in 2001, we didn't have internet on phones, so we didn't know what was happening, what we were really looking at, and people weren't really scared yet in that 15 minutes before the second plane hit. People were just kind of in shock, right? Just trying to figure out what we were looking at. And I actually went back inside right before the second plane hit, so I didn't actually see the second plane. But I was on this escalator when the police state escalated on all of us, and I was at the top of it when the second plane hit the other tower. And it was the most terrifying moment I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never seen more panic and terror and people screaming. The only other option was jump in the water or run back in the building, so people ran back in the building, and just total chaos and terror. I ran to the turnstile. The turnstile guy didn't know whether to stop us or run with us, so I hurtled over the turnstile and got out there and was able to make it to a friend's apartment. We saw the towers fall on television, and the debris flew by our apartment. So, really profound thing to see. But I didn't realize what I was looking at for many, many years, right? I was a statist at the time. I believed what government said about who was responsible, and it took me a while to understand, just like it did for the rest of us. So here's a quote from Joseph Stalin: "The easiest way to gain control of a population is to carry out acts of terror. the public will clamor for such laws if their personal security is threatened. So the reason I tell this story is because just looking back at what I did with that experience, and I remember we had to go work in Jersey City for about 3 months because it wasn't safe to be in Lower Manhattan after the attack. And I remember it was kind of before memes. Yeah, it's not on yet. And there was a picture going around that said, "Hey, Taliban guys, looks like you're interested in some of our planes. Maybe you're interested in the rest of these planes." And it showed a picture of all the, war planes to go and attack them. And I supported that because, again, that was where my belief system was at the time. We're good? If we got some tech deals, we're going to sort that out. It's all right. Okay, so if you look at this event and what happened, I got let's see here. Okay, I'll just go keep rolling. Okay, we'll come back to the next slide. The financial crisis, which was the next event that I was front and center for, is really what woke me up. I would like to talk about natural law. Okay, sorry for the delay here. Natural law is a really fantastic and interesting philosophical process that I learned about from Mark Passio. Who's listened to Mark Passio? Okay, great. So I was actually there live in 2013 for his natural law presentation. It was 9 hours, and really just integrated everything I had learned so far. I had already started kind of the spiritual journey after Wall Street changed and my life was in a different place. And that presentation was really excellent. So I'm going to put up a slide here once we can get it, which shows a really fantastic chart that explains everything. All right, cool. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. I feel like we're punked, All right, here we go. So who did 9/11? All right, we're back. So this is what I've come up with on who did this attack. It was the global deep state and the military-industrial complex. Through which belief systems and nationalities did the deep state most likely express itself in this attack? I think it was the neoconservative belief system, that's USA, the Zionist belief system, Israel, and the Wahhabis from Saudi Arabia. Why do they do it? They saw an opportunity to enrich themselves at the expense of humanity. So I came up with this little algebra, post-attack with the wars and everything that's come up with. And I don't know if we have any math geniuses here, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to figure out that this equation cannot balance. So if we look at what happened afterwards, we follow the money, we follow the consequences. We had millions of people killed or maimed at a cost of trillions of dollars borrowed from the unborn, so thousands of war profiteers and crony capitalists could steal billions of dollars for themselves and their friends. Right? Right? This is what happened. Right? Exactly. So what brings peace is for us to understand what's happening, for us to be able to understand these events faster, to be able to decipher them, for us to be able to look behind the scenes and try to understand them in a larger context. So I worked on Wall Street for 16 years. I was a derivatives trader at Merrill Lynch and Jefferies, and then I was a salesperson at some different brokerages. My goal when I started, when we were interns in '99, when we first came to Manhattan, we started watching the movie Wall Street. We watched it. We had a television on the floor because we didn't have much furniture, just as interns, and we just watched that movie. And watching Bud Fox and Gordon Gekko, and that's what we wanted to be a part of. All the smart kids were going to Wall Street at that time, and that's really what I thought I would do for the rest of my life, was just be in Manhattan, trade, and continue to do that. And it obviously all changed, right? I thought I was such a fantastic trader, and I was a good trader, but it was a big bubble, right? There was a huge bubble on Wall Street. 2002, 2008, I was there for the entire part, and my income dropped like 85% in 2 years between '09 and '11, and that was really a terrible thing to go through. It was not in my model. I wasn't prepared for that type of change. I hadn't seen anything like that happen before. And that's really what got me to examine my beliefs. Because before I had just been on a path where things were better every year. We talk about this quote from Upton Sinclair: it's difficult to get a man to understand the problems in the process if his compensation is dependent on that process, right? So here's my voting history since 2008. So let's show of hands. So who here did not vote in the last election? Okay, that's about 50%. Who voted for Gary Johnson or anyone in 2012? Okay, just a couple. Ron Paul, okay. And who voted for Obama in 2008? I got a few of them. So your basic status to minarchist to anarchist progression as I figured all this information out. So here's the chart that I want to share with you guys. I think this is so powerful. I think that most spirituality, most research, everything I've looked at in terms of how consciousness works and how everything's programmed, for us as humans, really lines up with this chart. It's really powerful. I want to go through it quickly. So on the positive side, and this is a 9-hour presentation, okay, to get this information. This is dense. It's a Mark Passio natural law presentation. I highly recommend checking it out. So we start with love. That's consciousness, right? We move from there, and this can only go in one direction. We can't go on part of the chart and then move to the other side, right? It just follows from love or from fear, which is the opposite ends of the spectrum of consciousness. We go from knowledge to sovereignty, right? When we accept the knowledge that we are source beings, then we move to an internal monarchy, right? So we have one ruler inside of us, okay? Next, the external expression, again following from love, is freedom. That's external anarchy. That's why we're all here, right? To create that. And the manifestation is good or order. Now, on the government side, on the statism side, we have fear, right, which is unconsciousness, that leads to ignorance, right, indoctrination, a refusal of truth. Then goes to confusion, which is an internal anarchy, right, because there's no ruler inside you because you're getting commands from government and other places. And that leads to the matrix, that leads to control, right, an external monarchy. And the manifestation of that is evil, okay? Anyone recognize this movie? Dr. Strange, good job. So Dr. Strange is my new favorite movie about consciousness and the occult. It's a fascinating movie. I'm going to talk a little bit about it just from the first half an hour of the movie. I wouldn't want to ruin it for you guys that haven't seen it, but really worth checking out. So we have the main character here. Now this character, Dr. Strange, is part of the Marvel universe, but unlike the rest of the characters, Iron Man, Captain America, whatnot, Dr. Strange works in consciousness. He works in beliefs. It's super fascinating. And the character really just is exactly like me. I watched the video on my birthday last year, and the first scene of the movie, he's here doing his surgery. Successful neurosurgeon, just top of his game, beautiful apartment, beautiful car. And the song that comes on, there's a guessing game because he has a photographic memory, and the guessing game is about what month that this song has come out. And of course, it was December '77, which is when I was born. So it was just funny, just from the very beginning. I was like, okay, I'm really into this thing. So, just like can happen for any of us, when we build up the external process of our career, how we see ourselves contributing, it can all change in one instant. And that's what happens to the character. He's careless, and he has a car accident, and his hands are destroyed. So his whole entire life has now changed because he's a neurosurgeon, so he has to be able to use his hands in order to work and to help people. These scenes here stung me so much because it was literally word for word things that I experienced in my life and in my transition when I moved away from Wall Street into what I'm doing now. He's bargaining. He takes 7 different surgeries trying to get his hands to work, and he's just like, hey, a small loan, just 200 grand. Let me just get the money from here and whatnot, and just bargaining and just trying to keep it going and not really looking at what the new thing has happened. So the character gets totally fed up, and he asks he's here doing physical therapy, and the man, he's getting really frustrated because his hands are not coming back, and the man he said, all right, answer me this, bachelor degree. He's all really kind of arrogant type of guy. Have you ever seen anyone recover from an injury this serious with this type of nerve damage and actually recover? And he said, yes, one guy, he actually had a broken back, and he was able to, he was coming 3 days a week, and then he stopped coming. I thought he was dead. He walked past me later on the street. The guy said, walked? He said, yeah. I said, all right, well, find out about this guy. So he finds out about the guy and goes to meet him, finds out that the other person who had been healed with this type of serious, crazy injury had traveled all the way to Nepal to learn completely new things. So I'm just going to read you this one scene here because it's just absolutely fantastic. The language is just amazing. So he arrives to meet the Sorceress Supreme. You've seen her in the beginning of the movie. She's very powerful. The characters are able to pull energy from other dimensions. It's really interesting. So here's the scene. So he arrives finally after he's down to his last dollar. He's completely, this is his last chance to try to figure this thing out. And so here's the scene. She says, Mr. Strange. And he's like, doctor, actually. And she said, well, no, not anymore, surely. Isn't that why you're here? You've had many procedures, 7, right? And he says, did you heal a man named Pangborn, a paralyzed man? And she said, in a way. She said, you helped him walk again. Yes. How did you correct a complete C7, C8 injury? I didn't correct it. He couldn't walk. I convinced him that he could. You're not suggesting it's psychosomatic. When you reattach a nerve, who is it that puts it back together? You or the body, she says. He says, it's the cells. She says, and the cells are only programmed to put themselves back together in specific ways. He says, right. He says, what if I told you that your body could be convinced to put it back together in all sorts of ways? He's like, all excited. You're talking about cellular regeneration. That's bleeding edge medical tech. Is that why you're working here without a governing medical board? Just how experimental is your treatment? She's like, quite. And so he says, so you have figured out a way to reprogram nerve cells to self-heal? And she says, no, Mr. Strange. I know how to reorient the spirit to better heal the body. He's like, doesn't get it. He's like, the spirit to heal the body? And he says, I spent my last dollar getting here, one-way ticket, and you're talking to me about healing through belief? She says, you're a man looking at the world through a wormhole. Sorry. There we go. You're a man looking at the world through a keyhole. You spent your whole life trying to widen that keyhole to see more, to know more. Now, upon hearing that it can be widened in ways you can't possibly imagine, you reject the possibility. This is the last part. He says, no, I reject it because I do not believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief. There is no such thing as spirit. We are made of matter and nothing more. You are just a tiny momentary speck within an indifferent universe. She says, you think too little of yourself. He says, you think you see through me, do you? Well, you don't, but I see through you. And he touches her, and then she goes, hold on here, yeah. And then she goes, boom, and she knocks his astral self out of his physical body. And I was just like, I love this movie. So it goes on from there. I highly recommend it. It's really amazing to see these themes, in a mainstream movie like this. All right, so next we're going to move to physical fitness. So guys, one thing I've noticed I moved to the Netherlands 9 months ago, and it's amazing because in the Netherlands, the primary people living there are first world melanin deficient folks, right? And the people in the US are first world melanin deficient. I see a couple face, you guys know what melanin is, right? That's skin pigment. So I'm melanin enhanced, you guys are melanin deficient. Okay. Anyway, so the reality is, it's 44% of people here are obese, okay, in the US. It's 11% in the Netherlands. How can that be the case? It's deliberate, right? It's the systems, it's everything. In the Netherlands, they have decentralized food production, decentralized energy. Everything's different. So we have to take personal responsibility for our bodies and for our own physical health, for our strength, for our flexibility. All these things are so important, and this brings peace. That's me playing football 18 years ago for Rice. I just came out of retirement and just joined a team in Amsterdam, so I'm playing on the first team and the best team in the Netherlands. Just coming back because I've made good decisions. Thank you. Yeah, great. We beat Belgium last weekend. We beat Brussels, and I had tackles. It was awesome. And when you make good decisions about your health and wellness, then you have opportunities. No matter how old you get. And that's my age now. It was my number was 39, and I got the same number, and I'm 39 years old now. So love precious humanity. I've done all kinds of personal development. Again, from about 2006 on, I've been to Tony Robbins for Unleash the Power Within. I walked on fire last year. I've been to Abraham Hicks, Red Eckhart Tolle. Pretty much you name it, I've been a student of it. But the Avatar course is really what moved the needle for me, and that's what I teach part-time, and that's where I keep going back. So who knows what are the 3 questions an animal can answer? Who knows one of them? Any animal, what are the 3 questions an animal can answer? Hungry. Can I eat it is number 1. Number 3 is can I mate with it? Number 2 is can it eat me? Good job. So smart group. So that's animal consciousness. This is a quote from Harry Palmer, who wrote the Avatar course. Order is established in animal consciousness by dominance. Order is established in intellectual consciousness by argument or debate. Order is established in spiritual consciousness by respect. All right? So according to the author, about 50% of humanity operates at the level of animal consciousness on a consistent basis. All right? Here's an example of, this is from one of his talks, an animal consciousness beer commercial. It tastes good, it won't hurt you, and it makes you look sexy, right? So, the powers that shouldn't be they know this information, and they're going to put it out there to get the dollars and cents for them. Now, about 40% of humanity or so operates at the level of intellectual consciousness. Intellectual consciousness is ego, competition, war, rationalization. That's all the intellectual consciousness. The spiritual consciousness, which we need to get more people moved up there, that's benevolence, empathy, compassion, and all the top ways of being. Maybe only 5 to 10% of people operating at that level on a consistent basis. And I think this is one of the most important things of how we actually create a voluntary society, because just like Larkin Rose said last night, if you want to be free and you're on a plantation of slaves, there's not really a path for you. You have to get more people that are interested in moving this forward. So the mission of the course, again, my speech is what brings peace, is really aligned with that. The mission of Avatar in the world is to catalyze the integration of belief systems. When we perceive that the only difference between us is our beliefs, and that beliefs can be created or discreated with ease, the right and wrong game will wind down, a co-create game will unfold, and world peace will ensue. So this is a course that I was at last year. I would say that what Anarchapulco is for economic and political awareness, that Avatar is for spiritual awareness. It's a 9-day course where you're guided through a series of experiential exercises that you can take with you and use in your life to raise your vibration, take care of any problem, all right? This is one of my students. She's a good friend who I've known for a long time. She wrote a nice little blurb, which I'll share. She said, Adam, thank you for your guidance and friendship. This past week at Avatar was absolutely wonderful. The tools I learned have allowed me to finally say and honestly believe that I'm very clear about where I'm headed on my terms, including what I will continue to contribute to others. I'm grateful for our new connection. So, she took the course because she had been a lawyer for a long time and didn't want to do that anymore and was stuck. She didn't know where to go and how to transition to something different. And so she came, took the course, and used the tools. It's created an amazing new career doing something completely different. Fantastic quote here. The best way to remove suffering from your own life is to act with the intention to reduce the suffering of other sentient creatures. Just like, in Doctor Strange, where he's going to use his powers he ends up doing some great things. I'll let you guys watch the movie. But it's just so helpful. Whenever we put our attention out on others, it takes away the thoughts about our own stuff, right? So when we're in service to others, that's always a way to remove suffering from your own life. That's my master on the far left, another one of my students. All right. I'm going to read you guys quickly just a little bit about what it is in case you're interested. So what is Avatar? Avatar is the most powerful, purest self-development program available. It's a series of experiential exercises that enable you to rediscover yourself and align your consciousness with what you want to achieve. You will experience your own unique insights and revelations. No one will tell you what to believe or who you are. It's you finding out about you. So, for all of us here in this room, we're all focused on creating, a new reality, a new economy, for our internal economy for ourselves and in the world. But just because you know that government is immoral, does that mean that you have healthy relationships? Yes or no? No. Does that mean, if just because you know that government is immoral, does it mean that you have alignment, with your family? There's so many different, aspects of reality to have under control. Some questions. Would you like to be free of old restraints that make you unhappy? Would you like to align your beliefs with the goals you want to accomplish? Would you like to feel more secure about your ability to conduct your own life? Would you like to experience a higher, wiser, more peaceful expression of self? Would you like to be able to rise above the sorrows and struggles of the world and see them for what they really are? And would you like to experience a state of consciousness traditionally described as enlightenment? Avatar is for you. So I'm going to close with the compassion exercise. Here we go. All right, so I have some cards here if you guys want one. This is what the compassion cards look like. Okay, I got 10. Perfect, great. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through this. Can you guys see this? A little bit? Okay, I'm going to guide you. So here's the instructions. This is the purpose of this exercise is to increase the amount of compassion in the world. This exercise can be done anywhere that people congregate, airports, malls, parks, beaches, etc. It should be done on strangers, unobtrusively, from some distance. Try to do all 5 steps on the same person. Expected results are a personal sense of peace. All right? Now, on the bottom, the variations may be done by couples and family members to increase understanding of each other. May be done on old enemies and antagonists still present in your memories, and may be done on other life forms. So I invite you to do the exercise with me. Just decide which person in your life that you want to extend compassion to. So everyone just decide in your mind if they're a male or woman or who they are. You can do the exercise eyes closed or open. You can talk or just do it inside. You guys ready? All right, great. Step 1, with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. Step 2, with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. Step 3, with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Step 4, with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. Step 5, with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning about life. So it's a great exercise that you can always use to just come back to. All right, thanks guys. Got some time for some questions or comments? Anyone's got any?
Is Avatar available in Australia, or is it just?
Yeah, it's available all over the world. There's courses in Mexico and the U.S. I started going in 2012. I met my master in the same building where they're actually having a course. She just walked up to me and started chatting, and they were having a course actually in that same building. I was in a hotel, and in the top level of the hotel was office space. So my derivatives trading company was there. So they have them literally Australia, New Zealand, all over the world.
Just another question, if I can.
Go ahead, please.
You said I walked in a bit late, and I heard you were talking about 9/11.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate a bit more about what you saw?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, that was a little jumble in the beginning. I feel it's like I remember one day on the ESPN, when they're training the guys, they have the teleprompter cut off, and they have to do. I wasn't prepared for that. So, 9/11, man, it was just crazy, right? I mean, being there so close, I saw people jumping out of the building. I was literally could not be closer. I was in the Twin Towers about 2 hours before the building was attacked, because I always walked through that building on the way to work. And yeah, man, just seeing the reactions, the change in New York, the change in people, over those next couple months was just so palpable. Everyone's illusion of security was shattered, and the government came in with a convenient explanation, for what happened. I think that the most memorable thing of the entire experience is just the fear, that was generated by the event, and that's why governments, will continue to use false flag terror, and with what's happening now with Trump and this Trump versus the CIA thing, which is certainly interesting. People have all different viewpoints about Trump, but I wouldn't be surprised if something else like that, didn't happen again soon. Thanks. Adam. Oh, sure.
I had a question about your opinion again. You were talking about Mark Passio,
yeah.
Natural law, and I just wanted to get your opinion on how you can integrate natural law into your life, as well as the non-aggression principle with just Mark Passio's work. I really like that. I really appreciate you were talking about.
Cool, man. Yeah,
Mark
excellent
Passio.
question.
I really like him. So
that's a little bit of why I moved to the Netherlands last year. Thank you. I had a number of different things kind of dissolve, at the same time after a lot of successes and different failures. And instead of just staying in the Northeast, where I had been for 16 years, which was fantastic for a while, and then, awful for, post bubble, I said, I'm not a tree. I can go somewhere else. So the thing that mattered for me most was personal freedom. And so I moved to a place where I've got more personal freedom, and I have an ability to do more things without worry of incarceration than I do here. So any step that you do to just give yourself more freedom, more alignment with your own integrity, puts you more in alignment with natural law.
Adam, great example of grace, getting through that technical difficulty. Can you explain to us, kind of elaborate more, right?
Oh, thanks.
Can you explain to us more, elaborate how in your own mind, increased inner awareness and outward compassion contributes to anarchy?
Totally goes right with it. Anarchy is a massive thing, right? It's how we interact with each other. It's how we design systems. It's everything, right? It's all aspects of nonviolent interaction. So when we are operating from a higher level of consciousness, more towards love versus fear, then we're going to be less reactive. We're going to be more open to seeing things as it is instead of with a filter, and it just completely goes with it. Yep. Cool. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
In a world where Antifa riots in the city streets, cops rage out of control, and the leader of the free world is a fat-ass casino owner, one event stands alone to make anarchy great again.
I actually love humanity. That is why I'm an anarchist.
Backwards in the building like we the ceiling, we illin'. No matter who find it appealing, I'm here and I got a feeling that we'll be dealing a lot of pain with a penicillin get drilled in your head. That we are monsters and yeah, we come from the slums and for months we've been pumped, but for once I am now comfortable. I want to grow, I want some more success, and I want to know that greatness can't be rushed, can't be lost, so face the bus. Feel free to hate on us, we lace them up. Dudes, we done paid them up. Keep snakes away from us and safe from us, you might wanna be. Remember when clowns used to make fun of me and now they wanna be me. See me and they run at me, I'm gonna be the greatest, yeah I wanna be, but I am not the one to be the fakest for the sake of being played. I'm here, like I never left, said to hell. Nah, cause I can't just fail, so just prepare your ears, it'll get for real. Okay, from here, we will never take the cell, it's grind time. My mind and my thoughts, my highs and my faults, my wins and my loss. When will I fall off? It's a chance for me. You are now listening to Veracity. Yeah.
Fuck the media, fuck the banks, fuck drone strikes, fuck tanks, fuck hunger, fuck war, fuck ignoring of the poor, fuck the left, fuck the right, fuck the government. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.